After finishing the Sumeru Interlude chapter, I had this burning question about books. Yes, these books. But this one book in particular, the book The Folio of Foliage. Out of all the things that changed with Rukkadevata's Irminsul vibe, this was the only book to change its contents. To be fair, it was the only book to mention Rukkadevata outright without any twists and tricks to bypass Irminsul checks. But my question was not about the content that changed, but rather why it changed. If you look at it on the surface, it's a perfectly normal thing. Anything about Rukkadevata was changed to indicate Dendroarchon in general or Nahida, and that included the books too. But the interlude chapter makes it clear that only the memories change. Irminsul is a powerful thing in Genshin world, but it is not omnipotent. It holds the memories of every being born in this world and circulates them through the entire leyline network. The loading screen has some information about Irminsul. It says, Irminsul lies deep within the bowels of Tevat and stores all the knowledge and memories in the world. It is said that Dendroarchon's wisdom too comes from Irminsul. And although this is not a tree in a biological sense, the ley lines do indeed function like Irminsul's roots, constantly absorbing the memories of this world. Both quotes mention the control over memories and knowledge, but the tree can't physically change time. Everything Irminsul changed after erasing Rukkadevata was abstract and non-physical. People's dialogues, not physical. Character stories, not physical. Aranara stories, not physical. In-game flower descriptions, also not physical. Same as what happened when Scaramouche erased his memories from the Irminsul. People forgot about his existence. But removing himself from people's memories didn't change what had already happened. People didn't just rise back from the dead just because. It only changed people's perspective on how they got to that position. Before erasing himself from Irminsul, Scaramouche asked us if it's possible to change the past. Our answer to that was a surprised expression and asking, why would you ask that? That gave him the idea that if he erased himself from Irminsul, he could change the past to make up for his mistakes. Essentially, time travel. But well, that was not the reason why we got surprised. We thought he might have known something about Rukkadevata's situation. He messed up big time, and nothing really changed, except for few people who knew about his story. The story of how Kabukimono destroyed the Raiden Gokuden was changed to a descendant of the Hyakume clan going on a rampage and killing bladesmiths indiscriminately. The story is correct to some extent, but the person in question was changed to fit the narrative where Kabukimono never existed. In psychology, this phenomenon is called false memories. When a person starts to believe in a false reality as truth, their mind will make up brand new memories to fill in the blanks. In a 1996 case study by Elizabeth Loftus, they managed to convince over 25% of the subjects that they were lost in a mall as a child. However, this makes things even more complicated because how each person's brain come up with fill-in-the-blank stories is different. But since the memory was deleted from the tree itself, everyone connected to it will fill in the blanks identically. Basically everyone except for the descendants. So removing a person from Irminsul's memory bank would not change something that actually happened in the past. The same has to be the case for any book written before Rukkadevata's incident. For example, let's say the Folio of Foliage book was written 100 years ago on paper with ink. The story was in author's mind before they wrote the book. At that point in time, that story could have been altered because it's a memory and not a physical thing. But the moment they write that story down on something, that memory is no longer just a memory. It is now the same memory, but stored physically. So although it was a memory, it can no longer be altered by the changes in Irminsul because Irminsul can only erase abstract concepts like memory. At the end of the Sumeru Interlude quest, the unknown voice says,
Unfortunately, the fate of Tevat cannot easily be changed. Perhaps a god may have a slim chance, but for anyone else, who can say?
This is actually true. A god has changed the past before. Or should I say, three gods together. A and Makoto planted the sacred Sakura tree in the past 500 years ago while existing in the present with the help of Ishtarot's power. Then the unknown voice says,
When a small animal runs into a tree trunk, Though the tree may sway, it is not displaced. The same is true of fate.
People believe small alterations can happen to the timeline when someone tampers with Irminsul. Yes, alterations can happen to the timeline, but only the future. The future where Scaramouche is still Scaramouche diverged into a parallel timeline where Scaramouche is Wanderer and mostly everyone doesn't remember him. Nothing that happened can be changed. Remember, this is not time manipulation. It is just erasing a part of memories in the existing people. But if you dissect it closely, she says something entirely different. She is saying that if someone such as Scaramouche tries to change the past willy-nilly, it will only look like something has changed, like the tree swaying for a moment. It's not like the entire tree is moving somewhere else. Eventually, everything will return back to its original state, to equilibrium. Hence why the tree trunk is not displaced. If you watch Steins Gate, you might be familiar with this time theory. Unless you alter a series of events leading to one point, a timeline is impossible to deviate. In 2020, physicist Germain Tauber came up with this theory. The timeline will try to recorrect itself to the original timeline, whatever small changes you make. So if you go back in time and isolate patient 0 of COVID, you will become the patient 0 instead, hence self-correcting itself. So Scaramouche and Rukadevata might have changed history, but they have not changed the past. Due to this one line about a small animal swaying the tree trunk, I have seen people say the book's content change is justified. But I think it's just taking the easy answer and putting the blame on magic or some random miracle. But you now know the whole context of the situation and see why this is a bit of a plot hole. But surprise, surprise, this is Hoyoverse and there is always a loophole that can explain the plot hole. You might have noticed Alhaitham saying something kinda sus to Kaveh at the end of Sumeru Conquest. Sitting inside House of Dana, a freaking library, this dude had the audacity to say,
"Do you have any idea how difficult it is to find a physical book like this in Sumeru?"
But once you piece the pieces together, it all makes sense. The description of House of Dana says, a colossal library that stands at the center of Sumeru Academia. It was once acknowledged as the bank of all knowledge across the world due to its unparalleled, all-encompassing book collection. But it is now been replaced by the Akasha system. Nevertheless, this ancient library still stands as a symbol of Sumeru. So if Alhaitham is sitting in the library and saying physical books are rare and the Akasha system made the use of physical books essentially useless, I'm guessing none of the books in House of Dana are real. If I have to take a guess, I would say the books we see stacked on the shelves are similar to knowledge capsules. They grant access to those books for a limited time while you are in the library. It works like a library where people have to come there and read a specific book. But instead of having to read them, the knowledge in the book gets directly poured into the person's mind through the Akasha. Knowledge in the Akasha is a bit different to the internet. Instead of information being available in an external server, knowledge in the Akasha is stored in individual people's minds. The collection of everyone's memories and knowledge is what makes the Akasha. So if everyone's memories are altered, the information in the Akasha will also be the changes in Irminsul. Since Folia of the Foliage book was also in the Akasha at the time of Rukadevata's deletion from Irminsul, the contents of this one book could have been changed with the people's memories of the book changing. Even though Nahida shut down the Akasha, by then the damage was done. It doesn't matter if the contents of the Akasha were written down physical books now. What they are going to write down is the altered version. Also, I know some things write Rukadevata's story cryptically, so it won't be affected. But isn't it weird that only one book out of the entire library was relevant enough to get its stuff changed? Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that video. There is either released or be released soon, so good luck with your polls. I would be streaming if my internet stopped acting weird, but well, things are how they are now. Well anyway, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and leave your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to our channel, let's get that small number to a big number. Watch these videos in the meantime. As always, thanks for watching and until next time, let your imaginations run wild.